Hello, everyone, and welcome to Acupressure Wednesday. I'm Alexa Halsey from Encircle Acupuncture in Nashville, and we have a guest joining us today for Acupressure Wednesday. Faune from Napa Acupuncture Practice in Napa, California is going to join us as well. She was here a few weeks ago talking about wrist pain, and today we're going to talk about ear acupressure. And my sister's here. Hi, Courtney. Yay. Okay, I'm going to add Faune to our video. Let's see. Let's do this. We're going to add Faune. All right. Hey, Faune, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, good.
It's so great to see you again. Thank you for joining again.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we've had a request from one of our viewers to talk about ear acupressure. So that's what we're talking about today. There's so much to talk about with the ears. So there's a lot going on in there. So we'll start real quickly, just getting grounded and comfortable. I'll take us through a couple of exercises, and then Faune and I will start talking about the ears and why they're so magical. So let's start just a comfortable seated position. You want your feet flat on the floor, nice neutral spine, and just take a few deep breaths and settle into your body. You can keep your eyes open. I'm going to close mine and just take some breaths. Breathe comfortably. And just notice how your body is feeling today. So the first thing I notice when I inhale is that I have a little sinus congestion. My breathing is not clear. I need to clear that out. Check and see if you're holding any muscle tension anywhere. How's your energy level? Any pain? Is anything just feeling off? Just check in with your body and allow your brain to slow down for a minute. And we'll check back in at the end of today's session and see if anything feels different. All right, so now that we've taken a few breaths, we're going to do a quick Qigong gathering exercise. You can do this either standing or sitting. I'm going to stand, but you do whatever's comfortable. And you want your feet about hip width apart. And if you're standing, just kind of loosen your knees. We don't want any locked knees. And you're going to inhale. And as you inhale, you're going to raise your arms overhead, palms up. Inhale. And then you're going to exhale. And as you exhale, you're going to lower your hands, palms down, and bring them to rest on your lower abdomen. So let's do that a few times. Inhale. And exhale. And you want to imagine gathering in some qi from your surroundings. It's circulating all around us, and there's plenty to go around. So just bring some of that qi in, because we're going to use this during our session to bring it into your lower abdomen. This is called our lower dantian, lower energy center. One more big inhale. And exhale. All right. Now all that qi that we've just gathered into our dantian, now we want to disperse it out to our hands and fingers. So just rub your hands together. Get your hands nice and warm. It might be chilly where you are, so try to warm up your hands. Get all that qi flowing out, and your hands will probably start to feel warm and tingly. They might change colors. That's a good thing. Mine are nice and red. I got little red fingertips. So now we're ready to go. All right. So yeah, we've had a request to talk about ear acupressure, and the ears are really interesting because we can treat anything with the ears. So Faune, why don't you talk about how you use the ears in your practice?
Sure. So I have this giant ear that I have.
Yay!
Did you have one of these in acupuncture school?
I did, yes, and mine is long gone, but I'm so glad you still have
Mine
yours.
is handmade by Faune because it was in Chinese. So I got my crafty stickers out and labeled everything. So it's a little special. It's now like 10 years old, but it's still, you know, I should decoupage it or something. But
Yes.
so this is a really nice area to push on the ear for brain stuff. So let's start with that area right here. I call it the hump. Can you guys see my ear? Right
Yes.
there. I call that the brain. The hump
Mm-hmm.
right there has so much to do with emotions and anxiety and depression. And then going up a little bit from that is like the neck, and then keep going up a little bit higher, you can get into the shoulder. So I'm pushing right along here on this big hump, and that's what I use for like anxiety and depression and pain, because it's got the cingulate gyrus and the thalamus, which are 2 points of the battlefield acupuncture protocol. So they're really effective for pain. So I always have people start there. And if you can feel like a tension or a tightness in there, it means it's a really good area to do. So my rule is pretty much, if it feels sore when you push on it, then it's a good one to do. And if it doesn't feel sore, keep looking and something else will be sore.
And do you recommend that people use their fingernail to press,
You
or?
know, I don't want to break the skin. That's the most important thing. So as long as you're not applying so much pressure that you break the skin, then I think you're doing fine. And one massage therapist said it should be the dominant sensation in your body. And I really like that, because it doesn't have to be painful, but it also shouldn't just be like I'm touching it. You have to apply some pressure. And the thing that I really love about the ears is that it's so good for so many different things. So pain originates in the brain, right? So that's why these points here that are so good for the brain can be so helpful in treating pain. But it's also good like for, you know, PTSD, for starting new patterns of behavior. There's also a nicotine point. I drew a little cigarette
Oh,
there.
yes.
That's one that's good for people who, you know, sometimes people quit smoking and many years later they still have cravings for cigarettes. And so that's something that people can use to help themselves if they're having nicotine cravings.
So that nicotine point is kind of on this little like flappy part in front of the ear, right?
Yes.
Okay. And is that kind of just right in the center there, or maybe a little south of center?
It's a little further down on the we call this thing the tragus.
It's not actually called the flappy part.
Well, you know, who knows the words? I mean, that's what they're called. If you don't know what the word is, it doesn't matter if you use the right word. It's right here on the giant ear.
Yes. Okay.
So another thing that, I don't know if you guys use ear seeds. So I like to use ear seeds too. And I was in a class and they taught us to make sandwiches out of our ears, which I think is funny. So I always use some alcohol before I put ear seeds on, because it gets the natural skin oils off. And the skin oils prevent the ears from sticking. Well, I mean, prevent the ear seeds from sticking. So I always just give it a wipe, and I do the front and the back. My most favorite thing I'm going to tell you today, Alexa, is the back side of the ear can be used for tension. And I never knew this until I took Dr. Nogier's class.
Oh.
Back side of the ear does tension and the front side of the ear does pain. So when you put the two of them together, you get pain and tension. And
So that's the sandwich technique.
That's the sandwich technique. And you can make multiple, I'm going to say double deckers or triple deckers. So if there's 2 points on the back of the ear that are sore and 1 point on the front, you just put all 3 of them together. So I'll demonstrate. So here's fancy alcohol wipe. And I'm just going to do the front and the back. And then I'll do the other side because, you know. So my teacher said 80% of the time it's the same side where you're having the pain is where to put the ear seeds, and 20% of the time it's going to be the opposite. And the only way you could tell the difference is by touching and seeing what's sore. And you really, I mean, as long as you have enough ear seeds, just go for it. So I tell people to not leave the ear seeds on for too long because they can get uncomfortable and they get kind of gunky. Do you know Tanisha Dandridge? She does Acupuncture. So she developed I think they call it a melanin line. And so
Yes.
different colors of ear seeds that can be more matching to your flesh tone. So I think that's a great. I have two
Yes,
different.
we'll put a link to that on the
Yeah,
YouTube video so that
absolutely.
people can order the different colored skin
Yep,
tones because they make them in dark to light. It's really great.
it is. I'm so glad. So
Yes.
peel this seed off like this, and
And
then
it's literally a seed. It's a seed
yeah,
of the Vicaria plant.
good
So
job. Uh, and so right here on me is super tender, and that one's called the cingulate gyrus, and it's in charge of um, different functionings of the brain. And so I have to just do it based on touch. Oh,
mm-hmm.
a very good job there. And then I check and I make sure, oh yeah, that's tender. And then I feel on the back side, and I'm like,
Yep.
it's tender back there too. And so I make my sandwich so that when I push on the front and the back, it's both sore. So then I'm going to put the other one on here. And then the good thing about using the alcohol is that, I don't know, it's hard to show you the back of my ear.
You're doing great.
And then I push them together and I'm like, oh, that isn't sore. I put it in the wrong place. So I'm just going to move it over a little higher. And then I'm going to, oh yeah, that's definitely sore. So the good thing about using the alcohol is that it allows them to stay on longer. So I've had patients who can even go swimming with these on, take a shower,
Wow.
stuff, and they stay on.
Yes.
So,
And the alcohol, yeah, because the skin oils can really prevent it from sticking. And then
right.
also the alcohol kind of brushes the hair out of the way because sometimes you'll get like
Yeah.
one hair under your ear
Yes.
seed and then it doesn't stick.
And then that will keep it from sticking. The other thing is sometimes I've noticed if my ear seeds are old, like
Mm-hmm.
that adhesive doesn't work as well. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have that won't happen to our viewers, but for
Right.
us, sometimes
Yes.
adhere, especially if they're like exposed to high temperatures of heat. If you leave them in
Mm-hmm.
the car, something like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
those are the points that I really like for pain. In terms of like feeling relaxed and helping with to calm the emotions. You talk about this one a lot. It's called Shenmen.
Mm-hmm.
What do you use Shenmen for?
I use Shenmen for stress, anxiety, depression, and sleep.
Yes.
So those are sort of the biggies that I use Shenmen for. And so that means that a lot of people get your
Yeah.
Shenmen because pretty much
Correct.
everyone deals with that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you use it for other issues?
I use it for calming people down. And then I think the ridge underneath here is like the lumbar. So I use
Mm-hmm.
this ridge along here for people with sciatica pain.
Yes.
I just push along here with my finger and find out which point is sore. And a
Yeah. So that's
up
this part, right?
ridge right here. Good job.
Yeah.
And then right up from here is the buttocks. So a lot of people have sciatic pain that starts in the buttocks. So
Mm-hmm.
anything along this area up above from the ridge, along here that can be sore is good
Yeah.
for buttock pain. And
Yes.
just like anything along here.
Mm-hmm.
And then along the ridge itself is really good for lumbar pain.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Yeah, and that's actually this inner ridge here, the anti-helix is really a mirror image for the spine, right?
yes.
So starting with the hump, the brain,
Woo.
and then cervical, thoracic, lumbar. So if you're having back problems, you can just kind of, oh, ow.
Yeah,
I
feel
mean, you can really palpate
yeah.
along there and find tender spots.
Yeah.
So, even if you're not sure if you're putting it in the right place, your body's going to tell you.
Exactly. And that's what's so beautiful about this is you can't do it wrong. As long as it's sore, then you're doing it right. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, even if it's not sore, it's really good for helping with stress. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I already said this, but the three major nerves of the body run through the ear. And that's what makes this so powerful for helping with pain is because it's going to have an effect on the entire body.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't realize is how powerful the ear can be. So that's why I really love it. My mom used to have like hip pain when she was
Mm-hmm.
sitting at her desk for too many hours, and I taught her to push up here on her ear for the hip points, and it really did a good job of helping her. So that's nice to be able to do something. I mean, it's really easy. You can do it anytime. If you get stressed, you can just go to town. I always joke and tell people they should feel a child's ear, because that's what our ears are supposed to be like. They're supposed to be super soft and malleable, and that's what our ears are supposed to be like. And sometimes you can, even just from palpating, like this ear on me is more tight than this side, which I'm right
Mm-hmm.
more sense. I do more stuff with my right side,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more sore. So my goal would be to get this one to be less sore and more malleable, softer. I like to think of it as a tender cut of meat as opposed to hard.
Right. As opposed to gristle.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can feel a little kid's ears, you'll know what they're ideally supposed to be like. And I've had patients where I taught them to do this, and they've come back several weeks later, and they'll say, Faune, that really worked. Like, my ear really is getting softer. And it's so exciting because it also correlates with less pain, less tension in their body. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the reasons why I really love the ear. It's also super easily accessible. So that everyone can do this, as opposed to like being able to reach your ankle or something like that, which can
Mm-hmm.
be hard,
Mm-hmm.
we're wearing shoes and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why I love the ear.
Yeah. And I tell people too, like, if you just need 1 minute, a 1 minute whole body treatment, just massage your ears for
Yeah.
1 minute, because you're going to get everything.
Yeah. In Qigong class, we always included the ears for a minute. And you see, they're starting to get nice and red. That's a sign that you increase the blood flow to them. So that's a good
Mm-hmm.
sign. It means you're doing it right. If
Mm-hmm.
not doing it with enough vigor, then
Mm-hmm.
you're probably not going to get any coloring to the ear. But it also happens when I put needles in people's ears, that their ears will get.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a sign of increased blood flow and circulation there.
Mm-hmm.
Means that the body's getting the message and doing what we're wanting it to do. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
do you have other favorite ear points?
Do you use 0.0 on the ear?
I do. I really
Yeah.
like 0.0 because it also it tends to be near where the stomach is. So I like
Mm-hmm.
to think of it as a 2-for-1, because it helps
Oh.
with digestion, as well as the whole idea of 0.0 is to bring the body to balance.
Mm-hmm.
So many times when things are complicated and we don't know what's going wrong, 0.0 can be really helpful.
Yeah. And 0.0, sometimes depending on who you learn from, sometimes the locations of the point might be different based on your teacher and the tradition that they came from. I tend to put 0.0 as sort of right here, and there's like a little
At the end of
notch.
here,
Yeah, yeah, right in there.
yes, yes, that's where I put it too.
Yeah, and I can feel like a little notch that my fingernail just kind of gets right into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the thing about the ear is there's so many different like curves and anatomical markers. So just by palpating it, just by touching over it, you can say like, oh, that feels sore. Oh, I like that one. That one feels good. And all of those, if it's sore, if it feels good, if it feels different, those are all
Mm-hmm.
reasons to put a seat on it or to apply some pressure.
Mm-hmm. And it's also, I feel like, a really great way to help out your friends and family too.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's not just for you, but if
No.
somebody in your household is having neck or back pain, you can
Yeah,
help them out with this very easily.
absolutely. There are also points for libido, which are quite popular. Um,
Yes. Yes.
so
What are the points that you use for libido?
oh, the guy named the point after himself. What's his name?
That's
I can't
perfect.
remember. I'm sorry that you invented the point and I can't remember your name, but I name point after yourself, and it's for libido. So I do it here at the root of this is where
Oh, kind of where
yeah,
where the
where
helix and the flappy part come
yeah,
together.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, a
Oh,
little higher, the origin of this part right here.
okay.
And there's also external genital points, and I'll do
Mm-hmm.
those as well. Do
Mm-hmm.
you use any ASP needles?
I don't. I
Don't.
don't. So for people who aren't familiar with that, that's what we use in battlefield acupuncture,
Yeah.
which I have not been trained in.
Yeah.
But
They're definitely more intense, but there's silver and gold needles, and I like to use the gold ones to amp things up. But so those are other points that sometimes I'll use. I'll apply seeds for folks if they're going on a special trip or something like that to help with libido. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the origins of ear acupuncture.
Yes, please do.
It's really interesting. So when I took the class with Dr. Nogier, he's French, and I'm sorry I'm mispronouncing your name, but he talked about how his father's father, so his grandfather, did all this. He saw people in clinic, and he would see like little scars or pimples or blemishes on the ears, and that would correspond with a traumatic injury the person had had. And so he started putting it all together, and that's how they were able to come out with the map of the ear. So the ear map is French, essentially. And that was how they figured it all out. And I think this is so much fun. I'm very much an acupuncture geek, but people will come in and they'll have like a little mark or a little red spot area, and I'll say, "Oh, are you having trouble with your digestion?" And they're like, I haven't even talked to you. Like, how can you?" I'm like, your ear gave it away.
Yes, the ears really become a roadmap to everything that's happening in our bodies. Because I'll notice little capillaries. There'll be a little capillary that you can see, a little blood vessel. Once you start looking at people's ears, they're really fascinating.
Yeah, very much so. Well, and we had Napa Valley, Northern California has had a bunch of fires for the past several years, and it was almost more than 75% of the patients, when I put the lung points in, they would bleed. And
oh, interesting.
what does bleeding mean? Clearing
Heat.
Right? And we all have lung heat from just being exposed to the ash falling from the sky and the dryness and all of that stuff. And it was just amazing to me. Like, I could have done a clinical study on the fact that everyone that I put the ear lung needles in bled, and I thought it was so cool because the body was automatically doing what it needed to do to be able to heal itself and to clear the lung heat. But it was, I wouldn't have known that unless I had experienced it and seen so many patients. So I started adding lung points to everyone who came in, whether or not they were having an issue with their lungs, because it just seemed like everybody's lungs crying out and needing some help to help clear the heat. And that was a nice, easy way of doing it, and to help with breathing too. So let's talk about where the lungs are.
Yes.
This inside cavity, I do above and below the cavity, and you can just do it because there's 2 lung points. So just feel around in there, and if your lungs are uncomfortable, pretty much have to stick your finger down in the bottom of the ear, and those are where the lung points. There's an upper lung and a lower lung. There's lots of other stuff in there too, but if you go closer to the inside of where the opening of the ear is, I don't know if y'all can see that. It's the mouth. And so that's a point that I use for folks who are trying to stop smoking, because it's an oral fixation, right? And for people who are wanting to eat less too, because it's your mouth. So to reduce that need to have things in your mouth, you help people to not eat as much or to not have to smoke.
I love the mouth point for sugar cravings.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh, and speaking of which, there's a hunger point. Do you use the hunger point?
Yeah, so that's close to the nicotine point, right?
It's just a little bit above it.
Okay.
So nicotine point, and then here's the hunger point.
Okay.
So I think, I don't know. I was going to say cigarettes go lower in your body and food goes higher. I don't know. It doesn't work, but it was how I cool. So the nicotine point is at the bottom of the tragus, the flap here, and then a little bit higher up is the hunger point. So I'll put seeds on that for folks too who just are eating too much, overindulging, pattern of having too much sugar, that kind of stuff, like at the holidays especially, when people find themselves overindulging in sweets. So
you're talking about the lung point. I've been pressing this on myself, and it's very tender on me. And at the beginning, I was talking about this nasal congestion that I have. The nose is related to the lungs in traditional Chinese medicine, so that's probably why that point is tender, because I've got some congestion in there that needs.
And the nose point is just a little bit above the hunger point. So I'll do that on folks who have like sinus pain, sinus congestion, and like a drippy nose or something like that. I also do the sinuses out here, the back side of the mountain.
Oh,
So like right here is where
interesting.
I do sinus stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's tender on me too.
It's also a point that can be good for headaches because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people have sinus headaches kind of thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. You can't do this wrong.
Right.
If it's sore, you're doing it right. Even if it's a little different from where the classical location of the point is, as long as you're doing it where it's sore, then you're totally
Mm-hmm.
doing it right.
Yeah. And for those of you who haven't taken an ear acupuncture class, you can do an internet search for an ear acupuncture chart and just print it out and have a chart. And you'll see there are so many points on the ears. We don't have time to talk about everything today.
Yes, absolutely.
Um,
I mean,
but
look at
yeah, you can just use that
that.
as a guide. Yeah, look at all those points.
Yeah. And then remember too, the back side of the ear is really good for tension. So I always do it for like thoracic tension and here, neck tension, and even lower back. Um, so those are
Mm-hmm.
really, really great addition to it. So the way I teach patients to do it on themselves is I have them put their thumb behind the ear and then their index finger on the front of the ear and then just
Mm-hmm.
work their way up the spine of the ear. And anything that's sore, then,
Mm-hmm.
so mine's sore right here.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so then I just spend a little bit of time and eventually it gets too sore and I'm like, ah! And so
Yeah.
to the next spot. That's pretty
Yeah.
much I know how long to push for because it'll get uncomfortable and you won't want
It's
to do it anymore. And then you just move on to the next one.
That's really great. I did not know that about the back of the ear being for
Isn't that so
tension.
exciting? I only learned it a couple years ago and I was so happy. And
It's
now,
very exciting because so many people have muscle tension.
yeah,
So
yeah,
this little what you're demonstrating right now, this sort of squeezing going up this part, it's almost
mm-hmm.
like a back massage on your ear.
Exactly, because it's
Yeah.
getting those nerves that run throughout the whole body and
Yep.
it's doing tension of the body. So it
Yeah.
really makes a difference. And then you can compare um, over time and see how your ears do and they really will start to relax. And sometimes you'll notice like um, a certain area corresponds with a pain. So like
Mm-hmm.
your shoulders hurting, you'll notice that there's more pain in one certain spot and then it's
Mm-hmm.
better, that will go away. And of course, you can always have a friend or family member palpate the ears if you're not able to reach up and get to your ears.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a great way to be able to easily help yourself.
Yeah. And it's
Whatever.
fun to have somebody take a picture of your ear, and then you can look at
Yeah,
your ear, or your picture of your ear, and see
yeah,
like where are those
yeah,
capillaries, or
yeah,
there's those bumps or scars or whatever,
yeah.
and you can almost self-diagnose in a way.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But you can also make it so easy. That's what I like. Like you totally don't have to do any of this stuff. You just touch
Right.
your ears and when it's sore, you can't go wrong.
Right. You
Sometimes
get results with minimal effort. That's
exactly.
great.
I get overwhelmed. There's too much. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Just do it simply. Or you push. You can't go wrong.
Right. Right. Well,
So,
this is great. This is so interesting. My ears are
right.
feeling red. I can just feel the chi
Yeah,
circulating to my
yeah,
ears. So this
yeah.
is really good.
It makes me
Um,
feel good though. I like
mhm,
it. It brings energy to my head. It helps wake me up. All that good.
mhm. Yeah, I do find that it's very energizing. Like even if I'm stressed and I need to calm down, it's
Yeah.
energizing in a good way, and like it feels
Right.
like a nourishing way, and
Right.
not like I've had too much coffee or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is our holistic alternative to caffeine.
Yes, yes,
Our love
exactly.
thing.
Well, let's check in with our bodies again and just end with a few breaths. So I'm going to close my eyes again. Just take some breaths and check in, see how you're feeling. I'm definitely breathing better. Still got a little congestion, but it's better.
Yeah, my neck and shoulders feel so much more relaxed. They felt like they were up here and now, oh,
Yeah, yeah. Good. I feel great.
so easy. Well, so So effective and free.
And free, exactly. So if you're interested in ear seeds, like I said, we'll put the link on our YouTube page, and then any acupuncturist you see is probably going to have these. You might be able to buy them. Do you sell them at your clinic, Faune?
We do.
Yeah, so we sell them as well. So they're a great tool. If you don't have seeds, just use your fingers and just feel around for what's tender. So, Faune, thank you so much for
It
joining
was
me.
my
This was
pleasure.
really
Thank
fun. Thanks
you.
everyone for watching, and have a great day.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.